Welcome back, everyone. All right, so let's open up our CSS file here. So the way that this works in CSS is that you take everything by the tag and you go ahead and style it. So what we need to do here is we need to style the H1 style. We need to color it orange. We need to give the background color black. We need to give the font family of Courier, and we also need the size of 50 pixels. So how do we do that? Well, the first thing you need to do is you need to type in the header tag, and you'll also notice that JSBin conveniently colors in certain lines of code, and the reason why it does this is that it makes it easier to look at. So color-coded code is a lot better. Now the next thing you need to do is add in 2 curly braces, and if you added 1 curly brace, what ends up happening is that the other one, when you push enter, automatically happens. Now, this curly brace is a very important concept in a lot of programming. Now, CSS and HTML weren't the first programming languages invented. I mean, most of the programming languages, you know, something like C, COBOL, all those programming languages have kind of a history. And one of the things that you learn is that this curly brace sets up a block of code. So in other programming languages, you have something called a function, and in a function, what it does is you need to set it up with these 2 lines of code, and anything within that function, so if you call it to, let's say, print text, you call that function to print text, anything within that function will get called, and 2 curly braces are what we use to do that. So anything within these 2 curly braces is going to be applied to header 1 here. So the first thing we need to do in CSS is essentially all we need to do is type in the style points here. So the color is pretty simple. You don't need to put quotes or anything like that. And we just, in this case, it's orange. Okay, and you need a semicolon. And again, going back to older programming languages, the way a computer reads any program is that it reads it line by line and then it renders it. In this case, and in most cases, a semicolon says that that line is finished. Okay, we need to go into the next command. So you have 1 command, semicolon, finished. Okay, the next thing we need to do is we need to type in the background color, and you just type in background color. Okay, a colon again, and in this case, we're gonna make it black. Okay, now you'll notice that in the output, nothing has changed, but and the reason is that we're actually adding 2 things to the same here. We're adding the style point here, and the style point here is the same. We're going to go ahead and get rid of this style in a second here. So we got color orange, background color black. We need font family, which is, you just type in font family. And of course, it's Courier. And the last one is font size. Okay. And what do we have? We have 50 pixels. So what I've done here is I've taken all the style points out of HTML and I've put them into the CSS file. Now, if I get rid of this here, for example, if I get rid of the style point stuff in here, nothing changes. However, we can go play around with this to see if it works. So if we type in maroon like this, you can see that it does change. And you can see that it does, in fact, work. Okay, so we can go Arial, and you can see that it does, in fact, work. There we go. Sounds kind of cool, and it looks kind of neat as well. And we'll just put this up here so that it fits on 1 line. Okay, so let's do the exact same thing for the paragraph tag. So just to recap, we type in the tag, so in this case it's the P or paragraph tag. We need that curly brace because everything within that curly brace is going to affect this paragraph tag. Okay, so let's go ahead and we're going to go color blue. And by the way, depending on where you are in the world, I believe other spellings do work in certain areas of CSS. So if you want to spell color with a U, you're more than welcome to. Okay. All right. So we got color blue. We need background color. And this background color is going to be orange. Okay. The next thing is the font family. and this font family is going to be Impact, which is one of my favorite fonts, by the way. And the font size, and you need the colon again. And remember, in this case you need quotes, but in this case you don't need that. So the font size is going to be 30 pixels. All right, or px. All right, now if I go ahead and get rid of this style property here, you see that nothing changes. And if we change this to something like red, it works. And then we change the background color to blue, you can see that also works as well. All right, so I'll just push Control Z or Command Z to undo that, and you can do that in JSBin if you want. So you can see that if you hop back in the video tutorial, you can see that there was a lot of style points. Now that was only 3 or 4. There was actually only 4 different style points we had. There's a ton of more styling you can do, and imagine if you had to read that all in the HTML document. It would look fairly complicated. So by putting everything to the CSS document, it does is it actually makes it a lot easier to look. And you can see here that this is a lot easier to look at. And I'm just going to go ahead and do that. You can see that we have all our header 1 tags are going to look like this. You know, it's going to have these amount of properties to it. All the paragraph tags are going to have that attached to that as well. All right, and now JSBin, before we continue on to the next tutorial, the last thing that I need to talk about is the fact that when you actually go and make a website, you usually have to go into an editor and then call it up in the browser here. Usually you have to call the CSS files. There's a little line of code that says, you know, please call the CSS file. And that's all it is. But in this environment, it automatically does that for you. All right, I'll see you guys in the next tutorial.